If you guys didn't hear, Baker Mayfield was on a podcast. And so we wanted to talk about that because there's a lot of sound bites from the podcast. A lot of people reacting to things he said. So we just wanted to give you guys our take. Did you want to play the clip first, or did you want to give your overall thoughts first, or how'd you want to do it?
Let's just kick it off with the clip and then we can discuss it.
Okay.
Right now is I really, truly, honestly have no regrets of my time in Cleveland, of what I tried to give to that place.
Right.
And true Clevelanders and true Browns fans know that. And that's why I can walk away from the whole situation feeling like I did it.
And now, do you feel like the way the office has handled it has been disrespectful to you, given where you came in and where they are now? And
the respect thing is it's all going to be a personal opinion.
Yeah, and
I feel disrespected 100% because I was told one thing and they completely did another. That's what I'm in the middle of right now. And you know what? Okay, I got my taste of it because I've had 4 different head coaches in 4 years, a bunch of different coordinators. I've had, talk about the highs. They always come back. Mm-hmm. They always come back.
Always come back.
But I had great times my rookie year. I didn't start in the beginning. I came in and got to have fun the back half of the year. 2019 sucked. 2020 was great, made the playoffs. 2021 was miserable. It's I'm just looking for stabilization right now, and I know what I need to do for me to be the best version of me, right, and to be able to lead an organization. And I'm in a good place right now.
Right.
To where I have no clue where I'm going.
Okay. All right. So I'll start off by saying that I listened to the whole podcast because I didn't want to just hear a sound clip and take it out of context or whatever. For the most part, I didn't really have a problem with anything he had to say or the way he said it on the show. It was a good listen. I thought it was going to be way worse, kind of given his history. So in that regard, there were some things where I didn't 100% agree with, just from that clip, how he was talking about how he had 4 coaches. We get that. We all get that. But also at the same time, then, your last 2 years, you had coach of the year, best offensive line in football, 2 of the best running backs in football, so yeah, we get it. Early in your career, there are some bumps, but you say you're looking for stability. The most unstable thing about our organization the last 2 years was you.
Yep.
So, and
that's the part that got me too, was here he is again, making excuses for himself. Now he's resorting to I've had 4 head coaches. I've had this, all these coordinators, blah, blah, blah. Let other people make your excuses. You are the quarterback. You are the leader of the team. I think it was, I forget who I was listening to. Oh, Cowherd. And he was saying, when you're the quarterback and you're the face of a franchise, you give credit to everybody else when you win and you take all the blame when you lose. It's just what you have to do.
Yeah. There are some other things he mentioned, throughout the podcast, not necessarily in that clip. My takeaway from the whole show, like I said, I didn't mind it. I thought it was okay. It kind of came across to me as rehearsed. You know what I mean? He's saying all the right things in this podcast, but he's comfortable right now. He's sitting there with his guys. It's in his neighborhood. These guys live in his neighborhood. He's at his neighbor's house, just relaxing.
Got his dog on the couch.
Yeah, shooting the crap with these guys. But we've seen Baker when his back's against the wall and it's uncomfortable. He goes to his true self. Mm-hmm. He's loud. He calls out media people. He says things like, I'm going to play. It's my decision. He calls out Duke Johnson for, his contract. So when things aren't going well for Baker, we've seen his true colors. It's easy to sit on the couch being perfectly comfortable, and saying all the right things. But what are you going to be like when your hands to the fire? We see your true colors.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So he was saying a lot of things throughout this podcast about, how he deleted social media because he didn't want to have rabbit ears, blah, 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 blah. But that's not what he did in real life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He might have deleted social media in real life, but then he turned it back on to post a goodbye letter to the city for the team that he's still on.
Yeah, he's still on the team.
So, he's saying all the right things over here, but then his actions aren't what he says he was doing. So, again, it wasn't the worst podcast. I don't think he comes out super negative or anything, but it's just if you've been a fan of the Browns and Baker for the last 4 years and you listen to that, you were like, bro, this isn't what you were doing.
Right. Exactly. And the one thing, and it comes from the clip that we played there, that was interesting to me is, he said, I feel disrespected. The team told me one thing and did another. I don't think that's necessarily true, because I just got a tweet here from Mike Garofalo from March 17th. He said the Browns have been informed they're out of the running for Deshaun Watson. The team still views Baker as their quarterback going forward. Yeah, because they're out of the running. That makes sense. He said the team told Mayfield's agents at the Combine. This was way before all this stuff with Deshaun. At the Combine, they'd only explore top-tier quarterbacks such as Watson. Baker's camp knew that the Browns were going to be exploring top-tier quarterback options if they were available, if opportunities were there. And there was. Deshaun Watson was available. The opportunity was there. So they pursued him. They actually did exactly what they told him they were going to do, not the opposite.
Yeah, and even if you do feel disrespected, just wait. Wait till you're on. If your goal is to get traded, you know what I mean? Then just wait. Mm-hmm. Say it when you're under contract on a new team. If somebody asks you, or how about just say something like, it sucks, but it's a business. I just got to handle what I can handle.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I would imagine a new organization is looking for. Come on, we just talked about this. You're going to come in to be the quarterback, which means you're the leader of the team. Well, they probably are looking for somebody who's going to come in, put his head down, and just say, you know what, I'm not going to talk about that stuff. That stuff's done with. I got my new organization, my new team, my new focus, and I'm ready to get to work.
Yeah. One thing that bothered me throughout the podcast, early in the podcast he was talking about this year in Cleveland, they were asking about his injuries, and he was explaining, what happened to his shoulder and that stuff. And he went on to say, I knew that there were things I wanted to do that I couldn't do. But in every press conference throughout this whole season, you told us that the injuries weren't an issue and you wouldn't play if you thought it wasn't what was best for the team. And then you sit on this couch in this podcast and you tell us, I knew that I couldn't do it. There were things I couldn't do. So then why were
you on the field?
Yes. Why did you tell everybody that the injury wasn't an issue and that you wouldn't play if you didn't think it was best for the team?
And I've had that conversation / argument with a lot of people since the Deshaun Watson thing, and people saying, well, they should have given Baker another chance because he was hurt and it was limiting him. And I said, you can't use that excuse, because he wouldn't use that excuse. He said every single week, I'm fine. I'm making all the throws in practice. Injury's not affecting me. I'm going to be out there Sunday playing. Okay, then don't use this as an excuse now.
Yeah, you don't get to tell me that the injuries aren't a problem before the game and then go out in the game and play poorly, and then after the game say, well, I'm banged up.
Yeah, I was really restricted there.
Yeah, that's not the way it works.
Yep. Game, and it wasn't like it was one time. It wasn't like he told everybody he was fine, had a crappy game, and then said, oh yeah, it hurts. It started to become week after week after week, bad performance on top of another one, and he would just come back and be like, I'm fine, I'm medically cleared.
And he started, in the podcast, and he went on to say, whenever his performance started to dip on the field, then it became mental with him. He's having mental problems because he wasn't doing the things on the. So, you're telling me physically you weren't good and mentally you weren't good, yet you were standing up on the podium every week trying to tell us. So it's like a fake tough guy.
Yeah.
And I talked about this before any of this ever happened. I felt like he was losing the locker room. He actually kind of touched on that. He doesn't necessarily know how to motivate rich guys in the locker room. He talked about how in college it was easy because they were all there for the same reason. In the NFL, a lot of these guys, it sucks for us, but they really don't care if they win or lose. They're there to perform to the best that they can and to make money for their families.
Yep.
Winning and losing is, if it comes, cool. If not, I'm still a millionaire.
True. Winning is number one for the fans. It's number two priority for the players.
Yes. So at least for a lot of the players.
Yeah, I would say, not everybody. But
so he's trying to figure out, what it takes to motivate that kind of locker room. So all these talks about how Baker's been a great leader, some of that I think is a little overblown. I think we saw this year the locker room didn't have his back. We've seen more guys supporting Deshaun Watson since he's become a Brown than we have seen people supporting Baker.
Yeah.
So it just, again, the podcast was fine. It went better than I was expecting. There was just there were little things in there that I didn't love. The one thing I'll touch on, we didn't play the sound clip, is when he talked about how they were kind of talking about the mental part of the game, like getting booed and stuff, and how he said he would love to go to some person's cubicle and boo them nonstop and watch them crumble. And I was just like, and then they all kind of laughed, but he wasn't joking. Some people told me, well, that was a joke. No, they were laughing it off because it was funny. Before. Yeah, because it was funny, not because he was joking. He meant it.
Mm-hmm. And for sure.
It's so out of touch. It's so out of touch. Dude, first of all, part of being the face of the franchise is dealing with that. You don't get paid, like getting paid that kind of money is because you can handle everything that comes with the job. Yeah. And part of that is criticism from fans.
You know what else people don't do? When somebody's sitting in their cubicle and they do a really great job, they don't come and cheer. At the side of their cubicle. So you're right. He's so out of touch. That's not even an equal comparison. You know what the job is. You're playing a sport. You're playing a game for millions of dollars that people pay a lot of money to come watch, to cheer, to boo. Their emotions are in the game. So you got to be able to deal with these reactions from people.
And I get it's easier said than done. Players are people too.
Yes.
As fans, we can forget about that sometimes. But at the same time, Susie in her cubicle didn't make $18 million.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you think booing her is the pressure? No, the pressure for that average person in the cubicle is, if I screw up at this job and get fired, now I can't pay my bills. Now I can't feed my family. You don't have real pressure. I think it was Damian Lillard who said this a couple of years ago. They're asking about like the pressure of the playoffs. And he was like, this isn't pressure. I'm getting paid millions to play a child's game. This is nothing. Pressure is if these people at home who are living paycheck to paycheck, they don't know how they're going to get food next week. They don't know how they're going to pay their electric. You don't have real pressure.
I respect that take a lot. I really do.
So to say, like, guess what? If she is as bad at her job in her cubicle as you were at quarterback this year, she'll be fired, and she won't be a millionaire afterwards.
Correct.
So it was so out of touch. You can laugh and say he was not joking. He was serious. He just said it in a laughy manner.
Yeah, and you're in the entertainment business. I mean, do you think stand-up comedians don't get booed when they suck? Of course they do, but they also get cheered when they're hilarious. It's entertainment. It's the way it is. And maybe he just got too used to 2020 being empty stadiums and not having any fan reactions, that this year he comes out and plays like garbage and gets booed. I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, you've been playing football your whole life, dude. You know this is what happens.
Yeah, and people do have pressure. Guess if I sucked at my last job, there was pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
I was getting, I was getting crapped on from all angles if I didn't perform the way I was supposed to perform in my last job.
Yeah.
Trust me. And I wasn't making millions of dollars a year. So that's real pressure, knowing like, oh, holy crap, I screwed up. If I lose this job, I'm screwed. You can lose your job. He even said on the podcast, he could retire today and financially be okay for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
So you have no real pressure.
Yeah.
So that was so out of touch.
I agree.
Completely. That blew my mind. I'm like, come on. Justin freaked out about that.
Oh, I bet.
That was like the thing that he really hated.
Well, honestly, if you think about it, who comes to the games to support these players? People that have actual real life pressure, who aren't making millions of dollars, who can't just retire tomorrow and be good. So whenever the guy that they're coming to support or boo or whatever they want to do on a Sunday says, oh, well, the fans with their pressure, we don't take it seriously one bit. We're like, dude, come on.
And here's the thing.
Don't tell us.
The fans, as long as the fans aren't being, like, I guess, racist, they're not spitting,
throwing things. Yeah.
If they can do whatever they want.
Sure. You can.
Don't make it don't stand next to Baker and say something personal about his wife. But if you keep it on the field and you boo the play, the fan has every right to do that.
Yeah.
They paid to be there. If it wasn't for the overwhelming support that people had for that team, you wouldn't have a job.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That's what they're within their right. As long as they keep it, let's say keep it classy, they have every right to boo.
Yep, 100%. And not to go too far down into any other negative area with Baker Mayfield, but let's just comment real quick on his, I guess, market right now. What is the market for him? Because he's still on the team.
So a lot of people, I think the league is telling you what they think of Baker Mayfield, that he's not that good. You know, the league is telling you.
At least not for the money, and the money is still cheaper than most starting quarterbacks anyway.
The league is telling you honestly, I've been telling you for like the last 6 months. You know what I mean? But they're not getting yelled at for it like I was.
You were just ahead of the game. I keep saying you're just an early adopter of these things people don't want to hear. But
and people are saying, well, there's teams interested, just not for the money. If he was as good as he thought he was, teams would be all over him for $18 million.
For $18 million for a starting quarterback in the NFL?
They're saying, well, it's 18 years and only 1 year.
$18 million.
$18 million for only 1 year. So you're not going to gamble for. Yes, you would. If you thought he was a franchise quarterback, you would be signing him and then extend. It wouldn't just be 1 year. You would be signing him and extending him immediately if you were really convinced he was a franchise quarterback.
You have teams like the Atlanta Falcons who are like, yeah, we just signed Marcus Mariota for this year.
Who hasn't played.
We'll roll the dice.
Yeah. The Texans didn't even want him.
Yeah.
And you're fine. And now you're hearing like if the Browns want to get rid of him, they're going to have to pay part of his salary. That's what the league thinks of you, Baker.
Yeah, like you got to take some of the hit to even send him to us.
Yeah.
Or they want draft picks and, on top of it. I mean, Seattle, for crying out loud, has said, yeah, we got Drew Lock. And we know how we all feel about Drew Lock.
The problem with Baker for like a team like Seattle is why would they pay him when if he comes – so Seattle with Drew Lock is what? A 5-win team? What's Seattle with Baker? A 5-win team.
That's why they're okay with what they've got.
Yep. They're not –
I think they're looking in the draft probably. I think they might have a guy – we'll get into some of that.
I also heard like they could be in on Kyler Murray if that deteriorates.
I read something this morning that it sounds like he might not be coming back to Arizona, so maybe that's another landing spot for Baker. I don't know, dude.
So, I mean, it's just the market for him is not great right now, and to the people who say it's because of the money, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
If people viewed him as a franchise quarterback, they would be jumping at him to get him for $18 million.
I mean, you're talking about paying a guy who's going to be your starting, potentially franchise quarterback, maybe a few $1 million more than what somebody's going to have to pay Jadeveon Clowney to be one of the edge rushers on defense.
Yeah.
It's not expensive.
No. And people calling it a 1-year rental, if you think he's the guy, you would sign him and extend him immediately.
Yes.
But the problem is nobody is convinced that he's the guy. So they don't want to pay him 1 year, $18 million for that 1 year, and then him come out and not play well. Mm-hmm. And now they're out $18 million for nothing because they are inclined to believe that's more of what's going to happen than the other way. They sign him and he goes off and they got him cheap.
Right.
That's not going to happen. That's the league's telling you they don't believe that.
Nope. And we said all year that Baker continuing to go out there every week and be that tough guy and play bad, suck. You're just killing his value. Just killing it. And then all the stuff he's done since then hasn't helped either. I mean, this podcast, he's saying a lot of the right things, but there's still stuff in there. It's like, why are you even doing this?
He talked a lot about like his chip on the shoulder and stuff like that. And the guy was even kind of asking him like, hey, at what point, like, do you like not have that? You're in the NFL now.
You were taken number 1 overall.
Yeah.
Overall.
Baker even said he has like Napoleon syndrome. Like, we know.
Yeah.
Trust me, we know. Like, you're not telling us anything we don't know.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if I need my starting I don't want my starting quarterback's back to always have to be against the wall to get the best out of him.
No.
Mm-hmm. I want him to just want to be great because he wants to be great.
Yeah.
And he talked a lot about like when he was in college, how he had his goals. And one of his goals was never let people outwork you and how all this stuff. But he came into 2019 like 40 pounds overweight.
Yeah, big time.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
30 pounds overweight. So it's like, again, like I said, he went on here and he said a lot of the right things. But if you've been watching the last 4 years, you're going, none of this is real life.
Yeah, I think, and Browns fans, I think, will realize that way more easily than what casual fans of the NFL. They might look at it and say, oh yeah, Baker Mayfield, whatever, because they don't follow the team. They don't see the press conferences every Sunday where he's throwing coaches or medical staff under the bus and things like that and saying things and calling out other players and teammates. And it's like, dude, just shut up.
Telling the local media there's no other injury, but then texting Jay Glazer to tell him about how you have a broken bone in your shoulder.
See, we need a list that we can just roll through because there's so much.
Yeah. So again, it went better than I thought. It wasn't awful, but he definitely said some things where I was just like, That's not what happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's not the way it worked. Now, when he was talking about like the first half hour was a lot about like his college days. You could say whatever you want about Baker Mayfield. In college, the dude was straight savage.
Yeah.
And his college story is a pretty cool college story. Mm-hmm. But the NFL stuff, like, hey man, we've been watching.
Yeah. And on the field too. I mean, we saw those wide open receivers. I don't care how bad the injury was affecting you. It doesn't cause you to not be able to throw the ball 5 yards to a wide open guy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, wide open.
The Demetric Felton play against the Vikings is still, it will be burnt in my brain for all time.
And the DPJ against the Steelers just kills me. Kills me.
So, yeah. The shoulder injury didn't stop you from, you could have underhand tossed it to Felton for a first down.
Yeah, your shoulder's not connected to your eyeballs, is it?
Yeah. So, but that's all. We'll harp on that. We just felt it was important to give you guys our insight on that. It was kind of like a big thing this week. They recorded it a few weeks ago. He did say on there, he thought he was going to Indy. He thought he was going to Indy.
Indy didn't think so.
Nope. And now he said he doesn't really have any idea. He said maybe Seattle. That was kind of like the only team he really mentioned, I think, was Seattle. I don't know if they're gonna try to trade for him.
Okay. Did you see the Robbie Anderson?
Yes, I wanted to say that before we moved on.
Throw it out there.
So somebody reported, I don't know who it was, on like Instagram, that the most likely place for Baker to go was North Carolina to the Panthers. Mm-hmm. And I guess they're not the North Carolina Panthers, just the Carolina Panthers. Yeah. And Robbie, he commented no.
Yeah, and no.
And then then another report came out that said Anderson not happy with the idea of Baker Mayfield coming to the Panthers, and then he commented on that one, said, "I said what I said." So he kind of he doubled down.
And that's a guy who's got Sam Darnold as his quarterback right now. Yeah. Come on, guys, this is just look what's happening. It's crazy. This is crazy.
So
I thought that was telling. It's telling.
So
the league's telling you what they think, so are the players.
100%. 100%. So to everybody who's been yelling at me for the last 6 months, I'll be accepting your apologies.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll get any.
Yeah, they're going to be coming quick and often.